Welcome back to Racing Across America as we wind up the show. Really happy to be joined by our friend Tom Bellhouse from West Point Thoroughbreds. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Seth. Great to be here.
Always happy to see you. Were you bouncing around the backstretch this morning?
I was, and the 911 from my pal Seth Merrill. I said, let me run over and get to talk about a pretty exciting horse, hopefully an untamed domain.
Yeah, we had you kind of as a late addition in here, as there was a late scratch, but we certainly appreciate you coming over. I had a feeling you may be bouncing around the backstretch, and you
that was probably my wife's second choice too, so I have no problem with that.
You have one in the feature today, so I thought it would be appropriate. You have one in a maiden tomorrow. You have one coming up on the second in a allowance event, so I thought we'd hit on some of that. Why don't we start out with Untamed Domain, because I think we have the replay of the Maiden Breaker back on July 22nd. Untamed Domain's going to win here in the second career start, but I thought we'd start here because, again, he's in the with anticipation this afternoon, but Tom Amello was just here saying for this race that we're about to watch, Tom was down watching on the big screen in the clubhouse, and he thought you must have had about 40 people there who, as Untamed Domain was kind of stuck a little bit, and then found, you can see in the West Point Silks there, what are we sitting, about 5th, 6th right now on the rail, and then when he breaks through, Tom said about 40 people went bananas.
Yeah, you're going to see him make a move. The 3-horse right in front of him is going to come off the rail, and is a spot for Jose. And he'll move up on the rail, and the 3 bumps with either the 4 or the 7 and ends up back in the path, right back in the path of us. So all of a sudden you'll see us moving forward. He sees a hole, and that hole ends up closing, and you'll see him snatch up, I think, right about here. And you talk about a groan of 50 people simultaneously, and then right here you're thinking, okay, let's just make a little run. You're very disappointed, but he gets clear, and there's the fractions were very soft, 114, and right here all of a sudden you're going, not possible. And he shows a turn of foot and an explosiveness that when he actually hits the lead, if you slow it down, his ears are up, and he's like, hey fellas, where is everybody? Come on. So he gets the lead, and he kind of slows up a little, like, oh, this was fun. So anytime you have a horse like this run at Saratoga, so young in its career, and it's trained by Grand Motion of Animal Kingdom, a horse that we bought as a yearling, nothing but excitement. And Graham basically put a circle around the with anticipation that week, and he's been here the whole meet. He didn't go back to Fair Hill. He stayed up here in Saratoga, and if you can't be excited to run in a graded stake at Saratoga with a 2-year-old, you should get out of the game, because we have partners who've flown in from all over the country. I had 2 guys, one from Seattle, one from Reno this morning out here, 2 guys from Newfoundland. Just an incredible local presence too, Albany area. That's why the big screen was so crowded in the debut. So we're hopeful. We know there's some really tough horses in there. Michael Dilger's horse was unbelievably impressive. Yeah. Todd has won this race a number of times, but we're real excited about our horse, and hopefully this is another stepping stone. Whether it's we get the job done today or we move on, but we're very excited about this Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, off of that effort, again, with that kind of trouble to make the move, and at the 8th ball is still kind of a questionable thing, and you see that in the Maiden Breaker in the second career start. Very impressive, and also it's worth noting Jose sticks.
But do you think he had a choice? Actually, a little sidebar. He gets off the horse. Everybody thanks him, and he's walking to the scale, and he's carrying his tack, and I go over to just walk over with him and see if he had any other comments. And he looks at me, and he just says, "That's a good horse." And they don't say that to you very often. I've been chastised by jockeys walking away from the scale in years past. So most notably, Rajiv Miraj has been known to give me an earful on occasion when he's not happy with the horse. But this was just the opposite of the case.
Yeah, that's nice. Excuse me. Let's go to tomorrow, because you have a nice little first-time starter in the 5th race tomorrow. Cause for Celebration. Picked him up at Ocala this year in April. Tom Morley trains, first time out of the box. What are you looking for Cause for Celebration?
Well, a horse that we're real excited about. He's been training very forwardly. Hasn't really missed a beat since we bought him in April. He spent a little time at Eddie Woods down in Ocala and made his way up to Tom. Just moved progressively forward nicely, and I don't know if he's one that we think is going to win first time out, but he is trained very forwardly. And I know Rick Violet has a horse in there that ran earlier in the meet that was super impressive. But I think you'll see a good showing from this horse, and going forward even better. I think Tom Morley's not really known for having him cranked out first time, but a horse that we think will be a nice New York bred. We've had some wonderful New York breds over the years, and Mr. Fantasy and Reread the Footnotes and Awesome Vision, and most recently Empire Dreams. So if we can have another nice horse, sound horse in that division, and even why not nice hard knocking New York bred that we have. So we're happy to play in that New York bred division, and anytime we can. And this horse is really put together. Anybody sees him in the paddock, they'll go, really thick. Noble Causeway, a little under the radar stallion, but Tom's had a few of them training for Mr. Riggio.
Oh, sure.
So so was obvious choice to send this horse to Tom.
I'm looking Untamed Domain came out of the Keeneland sale last September. Cause for celebration. April down at OBS. Give us some of the philosophy of buying horses for West Point Thoroughbreds.
Well, we look to buy the lion's share of our horses at the 2-year-old and training sales. We feel that that's where institutionally and systematically we are strongest. That being said, we'll always try to buy between 5 and 10 yearlings. When we go to the yearling sale, you'll see us be a little more demanding on pedigree. Whereas the 2-year-old and training sale, I always tell people there's 3 things in buying a horse. There's conformation, there's athleticism, and pedigree. Well, if they have all 3 of that at the 2-year-old sale, Sheikh Mohammed's going to buy them. So we'll look to give up a little pedigree for a great athlete at the 2-year-old sale. We've had a lot of success over the years, dating back to Awesome Gem and Macho Again, Lear's Princess, all horses that were bought at 2-year-old and training sales. We'll look to move forward with some yearlings in September. We bought 3 yearlings at the Saratoga sale, a Violence filly who's a half to a grade 1 winner, and then a Curlin New York bred filly, and then our partner Rob Masiello bought a beautiful Union Rags filly that we took a piece of as well. And we'll look for that type of pedigree and demand that kind of pedigree in our yearlings, whereas the 2-year-old in training, we're really looking for an athlete and not be afraid to take a shot with a first-time stallion or such.
And we should remind people, I mean, that's the game you play, those sales and do that kind of thing, but you'll jump in occasionally a little later on, which you did this year before the Florida Derby with Always Dreaming, so you picked up the Florida Derby and the Kentucky Derby. That had to feel pretty good.
Yeah, you and I spoke the morning of the Florida Derby, and I'll always remember that, just feeling very, very excited that we had a horse that was training that good. And not often, usually when you see a horse really put it together right before a big race, it's not yours. It's us sitting there going, wow, Todd's got a really nice horse coming together. And this year it was a thrill to be part of that partnership and to run in those races and successfully. And even jumping in on a horse named Breakin Lucky in December and ending up in the Pegasus was unbelievably exciting. He's a horse that's been chasing Gunrunner around the country, and we'll look to get him a start maybe at Churchill or somewhere else to get away from Gunrunner a little and hopefully get him to the Breeders' Cup in some capacity as well.
Want to toss out another runner that's coming up within the next few days, so you can give a little shout out and kind of talk about that in anticipation and maybe give folks a little heads up. Sound the Horns will be running in an allowance race on the 2nd of September. We're going to go back and watch the replay. You got another Saratoga win with Sound the Horns back on August 2nd. We're going to watch that race. What are your thoughts on Sound the Horn coming up on the 2nd of September?
Well, watching this race, I believe this is either the fastest or the second fastest 6.5 of the meet. And this was not traditionally his running style, but he got up there and they threw it down. I mean, I think I want to say it was Jason Service on the rail with Irad and Jose on the outside. And I thought, watching it live, I said, oh, I thought we won. And then I saw the photo, and it was really, really close. I mean, we lost the bob, but we still won. And this is a horse that we had huge hopes for as a 2-year-old. He cost a lot of money. He was buy include. He was one of those horses that fit our profile, that the breeding wasn't over the top, but the athletic nature of this horse, we really thought he was going to be a superstar. Couple different injuries over the years, minor stuff that held him back, a little bit of a throat thing at one point. and then all of a sudden he started putting it together. We kept him on Laurel and ran him out of Presque Isle, so he kind of avoided the top-notch competition. And then we said, okay, it's time to see if he can compete. Granted, that was a 50 non-winners of 2, but that's probably tougher than any allowance race you're going to see around the rest of the country. We're hoping to come back this weekend in a New York, Open non-winners of 2 lifetime, and see if we can where we fit. Is he going to be a horse that maybe be a stakes horse in the Mid-Atlantic or Florida, or is this his level? So we're hoping to find that out, and just really, really happy for the partners that a horse that took a lot of time, that always showed some promise, to win on the big stage at Saratoga and really throw it down.
Yeah, a lot of times they'll come out of a ding-dong battle like that and they're improved. They benefit from that kind of.
Well, we try to give him
fight.
as much time too. You're afraid he might bounce to the moon off of that effort, but we've really given him a lot of time. And Graham, wasn't under any pressure to run him. I mean, it's one of those that if he's been up here also the whole summer and really looks good and worked the other day. So we'll see if we get lucky. Well,
Tom, I'll tell people you guys have a great website. If you Google West Point Thoroughbreds, you can pull up the website. You can follow the runners, where they're running, how they the results, but also there's a nice blog, and you guys put up videos that go into the sales and what you look for. Really a great website, so I'll applaud that. And I again tell people to visit if they want to find out more about West Point Thoroughbreds. And part of the partnership thing, I always say, part of the fun is the social aspect, certainly up here at Saratoga, but you also want to plug into a partnership that's right for you financially and with the goals and whatnot. And if folks visit the website or talk to you, some of you guys, they can find out much more about West Point.
Absolutely. And listen, there's lots of venues to get involved with race ownership, and that's really what it's all about, people getting involved. That being said, I think you have been around us a long time and know that it's really about communication, transparency, and having fun. Yeah. And the day that Sound the Horns won, I remember Jeremiah Engelhart was standing behind us, and he goes, "I want to get in with you guys. This seems like way too much fun." So no, we've had a great summer and a great year, and we're thrilled with how sales have gone as well as how our horses are running, and get a little lucky in the next couple of weeks. We might end up with a couple at the Breeders' Cup, and that would just be wonderful to go out to Del Mar with a couple of bullets.
Yeah, I saw on your upcoming races there's a couple down at Kentucky Downs. That would be nice too with the Del Rey Me they offer down there.
Well, that one filly, Best Performance, who ran second in the Schuylerville on opening day, worked on the grass for Christoph, and we were all over there one day, and Christoph was very tight to the vest, but had a smile on his face. And so we're a little concerned about the weather, like everyone else. What's going on in Houston coming north? But if the weather cooperates, we're going to run her and another filly that we bought, Boreal, in separate races at Kentucky Downs, which would be wonderful.
Well, good luck there. Good luck up here the remainder of the meeting and the remainder of the year as well. As you say, if you go on the website, pulling up your stats, it's been a very good year for West Point. You can find out more at their website as well. Tom, appreciate the visit this morning.
Always a pleasure, Seth.
Tom Bellhouse from West Point Thoroughbreds. A little bit before that, we were joined by our friend Tom Amello. Joe Clancy jumped on board, and we kicked things off with Paul LaDuca from the New York Racing Association broadcast team. A big Wednesday show as we kick off the last week here at Saratoga. Don't forget, night racing continues throughout the month until Labor Day. If there's Del Mar night racing, we'll have night racing on the network. Capital